Subscribe to our YouTube channel and press the bell icon to get the latest updates.
Polling for the West Bengal Assembly elections ends tomorrow. We have to wait till Sunday to know who the winner is for not just West Bengal but also Assam, Kerala, Tamil Nadu elections. But what we don't need to wait to know is who the loser in this election is. It is unequivocally the Election Commission of India. By allowing massive roadshows and rallies to take place at a time when the country is in the midst of a devastating pandemic and at a time when there's a virus that loves crowds, that thrives on crowds, the Election Commission has proved that it is the new caged parrot of the country. The Election Commission's role in this election has been highly questionable, and its latest decision to ban victory rallies on the 2nd of May is a case of too little, too late, and frankly too laughable. It's easy to ban victory rallies, isn't it? Because these are not rallies that fetch votes for the party in power or the party that you are trying to pander to. These rallies don't add anything really to the party that you are trying to please and that you are trying to appease. So this decision of the Election Commission is mere optics in the face of the backlash it has received for the kind of conduct it has shown in the current assembly elections. You know, the Election Commission of India has always been under question. There are times when its objectivity has been questioned. But with the current set of assembly elections, what this Election Commission has proved is that it lacks two very important things: teeth and a spine. Now let's go back a little bit to the history of the Election Commission. Sure, this is not the first time that the role of the Election Commission or its commissioners is being questioned. I mean, if you were to just go back to that very ugly spat between Chief Election Commissioner N. Gopalaswamy, former Chief Election Commissioner N. Gopalaswamy, and then Election Commissioner Naveen Chawla, in which Gopalaswamy had demanded the removal of Chawla because the BJP had alleged that Naveen Chawla is close to the Congress. That was an ugly period for the Election Commission, and both Gopalaswamy and Naveen Chawla came out looking quite bad in this proxy Congress BJP war, eroding the credibility of the Election Commission. And you know, this is not the only instance in the post-TN session era, which of course redefined the Election Commission role, where the Commission has been questioned. But over the last few years, there has been a far more brazen Election Commission approach as far as the ruling BJP is concerned, as far as Narendra Modi and Amit Shah's party is concerned. And in this state election, it has reached quite another level. Now let's just look at the kind of steps the Election Commission has claimed to have taken to conduct elections in the middle of the pandemic. Let's look at just West Bengal. First, it increased the silent period before polling from 48 hours to 72 hours, and then it also cut down the campaign time and said it will be limited to 7 p.m. as against earlier 10 p.m. Now, these are mere optics. These are really very, very peripheral measures. The Election Commission knows that it's not as if the virus is waiting to attack only in the last 3 days of campaigning before polling, and nor is it that the virus is waiting to attack only after 7 p.m. The fact that it allowed rallies to happen, allowed roadshows to go through at a time when the country is dealing with a pandemic of this nature, shows that the Election Commission was not performing its role correctly. Then it wrote a letter to political parties warning of action if COVID protocol was not followed while conducting rallies. Operative part being while conducting rallies, which means rallies were still allowed. When the situation got completely out of hand, it waited till as late as the 22nd of April, which really is when the country was exploding as far as COVID is concerned, to say that rallies and roadshows with more than 500 people will not be allowed. Now, this is questionable on two fronts. One, how is a gathering of 500 people okay when there is a raging virus that loves crowds? And two, mere serendipity that this order came just an hour after the Prime Minister had anyway cancelled his 4 rallies due in West Bengal the next day. Now, of course, the Election Commission's decision to ban victory rallies is as questionable because that is fairly meaningless as far as these elections are concerned. But otherwise also, you know, look at the Election Commission's role going back the last few years. Ahead of the 2019 elections, there was an inexplicable generosity the Election Commission showed towards the Prime Minister and Amit Shah when it came to allegations of model code violations. In fact, the Commission gave them a clean chit in multiple allegations of model code of conduct violations, and this despite a dissenting note from one of its own, then Election Commissioner Ashok Lavasa. In fact, if you were to look at it, the Election Commission was silent on these complaints for almost a month, and the Supreme Court had to tell the Commission to act. So the poll panel has really shown how it is pandering to the party in power, the BJP at this point. Things have come to such a pass that often the Commission waits for the Prime Minister to finish inaugurating all important projects and making announcements before it announces poll dates and before the Model Code of Conduct actually kicks in. As far as these elections are concerned, the kind of impact these rallies and roadshows have had. Let me just give a tiny example. My colleague Mohana Basu had done some data crunching which told us that for a month in a month from the 20th of March, the cases in West Bengal, daily active cases in West Bengal went up by 1500%. Beat that, 1500%. So that's a huge number, and the Election Commission has clearly done nothing to stop that surge. In fact, has been an enabler, not just a mute spectator of allowing this to happen. It has also forced courts to actually step in, high courts to step in. We know that the Calcutta High Court expressed its unhappiness with the conduct of rallies and the way elections were being conducted. And very recently, the Madras High Court has come down very heavily on the Election Commission. It has, in fact, said that the officials of the Commission should be charged for murder. Now, these are very strong words. It goes on to show the kind of impact the Election Commission's decisions have had on people who are thinking about how to control and how to combat COVID in this country. I had written a few weeks ago that the current COVID surge should weigh heavily on the conscience of Prime Minister Narendra Modi and Home Minister Amit Shah. But truth be told, it should really weigh on the conscience of the Election Commission as well. As I said, till the 2nd of May, we may not know who has won the elections, but we know the big loser of this election season is the Election Commission of India, or ECI, or now, as I am calling it, the enabler of coronavirus in India. For more, you can log on to our website, theprint.in, to read my column, Politics.